Welcome. We have Jacob here today, and Jacob is actually from Jacob Explains. He has his own YouTube channel. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that channel?
Yeah, sure. I like explaining stuff. I know a little bit about a lot of things. And so, yeah, I do some deep dives into different technology, some radios. I'm a ham radio operator, so I talk about some of those things. And yeah, I just like explaining stuff. So that's what I do.
I love Jacob's channel. He's got a lot of stuff about things I don't understand anything about. So I can learn a little bit about that, but I can also learn about like things that people do every day, like making coffee or washing their cars. And it's just a really great channel. So definitely check that out. And he's actually brought something to show us today on the show. So
Yeah.
What did you bring?
I brought a Commodore 64. So this is a personal computer from 1983, I think was when this one was made. I got this from my good friend Zach. He saw that he had it on his shelf at work, and I was eyeing it, and he's like, he just gave it to me for my birthday. So it was very awesome. And I had one of these when I was a little kid, and I wanted one again, and yeah, it was very nice.
What happened to the one when you were a kid?
We probably sold it, gave it to somebody. It was a kind of a hand-me-down from someone else, and I remember turning it on and not knowing at all how to use it. Because as we'll show you later, you just get a screen that just blinks and it says it's ready. It's not like a Nintendo where you turn it on and you're playing a game. So,
yeah. Is it possible that this is the one that you had when you were a kid and you just reacquired it?
I doubt that. I suppose it's always possible. It was this version, which they call the bread box, because I guess it kind of looks like a bread box.
It does kind of look like a bread box.
There were later versions of this that had more of like a 80s look to it. They were more angular and a bit different shape, but this is the same style that I had when I was a kid.
So what does this do?
So as I said, it's a computer, so it computes things. It does all of your personal computer stuff. It just does it in a way that you did it in the 80s. So people wrote spreadsheets and they wrote papers on here. In fact, this monitor I got from a friend of my wife, and that friend, she wrote all of her college papers on a Commodore using this monitor. Yeah, and she's like younger than us, so that must have been quite a sight in the dorms having this Commodore 64 set up. But other than that, there are a ton of video games for it.
Oh, nice.
And that's really why these are still popular, is because the hardware in here is surprisingly capable for an 8-bit classic gaming machine. And there's just a huge library of games, and people are actually still making games for it.
When you got it, was it in good condition? Was there anything you had to fix on it or change?
Yeah, it was in excellent condition. Although I did find that some of the keys were a little unresponsive. So I did have to take it apart, disassemble the keyboard portion of it, and clean all of the contacts on all of the keys. It's a really weird design. It's like just springs with little metal foil that touch a PCB. It's kind of a weird design.
Cool. Are there any buttons that don't work on it now that you did that? Or
No, everything fully works on this one. It's surprising just how in good condition this is. There's like little bits, like little scrapes on the plastic here and there.
It does look like it's a little dusty. Do you mind if I just give it?
Sure, yeah, it needs a good dusting.
Quick dust. All right, thanks. I don't think it was that dusty. You keep it in very nice shape.
Oh, thank you.
They have a really nice design because you have the manual too, and I really like the design of the logo on it.
Yeah, this color was often referred to as grayish, because it's gray and beige.
Yeah.
And it's a very particular Commodore gray-brown kind of color, and I do really like it. It really just screams 80s, like early 80s to me.
Yeah, definitely.
But then a lot of the stuff, like this is the programmer's reference manual and the user's manual, and you can see there's a lot of rainbow graphics on here, and the 64 logo here is in rainbow. So there's a lot of pastels and rainbows going on, which is a very cool aesthetic.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Those are in really nice condition too.
Yeah, they are. This one I actually had to. I got this one on eBay afterward because it goes through every bit of the assembly programming language for this, so you can write every piece of software you could think of using the information in this book. And then this user manual is actually something I'm pretty jealous of for products nowadays because you just get like a PDF of a user manual. But this one, it really goes through every single thing, including even how to do some programming.
Yeah.
Like because you end up using BASIC, which is a programming language, to do almost everything on this computer. And so they had to show you how all of the different functions and everything like that work. Yeah, like if-then statements, go to, all that stuff. Yeah.
Very nice.
Oh, and then I have a thing I can mail in for a special offer.
I'm sure they're still accepting.
And no one actually mailed it in, so that's cool.
Wow, very cool. And it's like interesting too, like that, like they went into so much with each diagram. Like every piece of it is really beautiful.
Yeah, even how to program music on it. Like they have a whole section, and I love this design, the music and sound, this like red block, and I just love this design of it. But yeah, the sound chip in this machine is very powerful, especially for the time. It has 4 different voices that can do sine wave, square wave, triangle wave, and then another voice that can just do noise for like, like cymbals and things like that. So it was actually super capable for a home machine at the time. And music for these, and maybe I'll show that later, but music for the making music on this machine is extremely popular.
Cool. How does the sound come out of it? Do you have to have the monitor?
You have to have a speaker of some kind, and the monitor up top here, it has a big speaker.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
I would hope that they'd fit at least a speaker in that, because that's
yes,
large.
Yeah. And it sounds pretty good too. It really emphasizes the bass that you can get out of this.
That's cool. Does the monitor shake when you?
No, not really. I mean, maybe if you turned it up enough, the grill up here would start vibrating or something. But no, it doesn't really shake. Cool. It's not that heavy a bass,
Very cool. Very cool.
You might look at this and be like, well, yeah, you can play some games, but can you even get stuff on floppy drives anymore, or floppy disks? And I do actually have a floppy drive for this, but sadly it doesn't work.
Okay.
Like it spins up and everything, but I can't get it to read any data. So one of the ways that I can get games and things like that to load on here is through a device like this. So this is a cartridge that has a Raspberry Pi in it, and it emulates a floppy drive, and then it plugs into the floppy drive port on the back of the machine.
But it's just like a micro SD card?
Yeah, and then you just have the games on a little micro SD card here.
That's very cool.
And then you have to, it's very awkward because the cartridge goes in the back and you have to look around the back of it to look on this tiny little screen to navigate through with these buttons, but it works really well.
Did you print this case for it?
Yes, I did. So the circuit board for this I bought on eBay, and then the case, the person who sold it to me was like, hey, if you go on Thingiverse, here's where the case is. Could you try printing it out for me? And I did have to send him some feedback on some problems that I had with it. But
cool.
But other than that, yeah, it's great.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you've really modded it out.
Yeah, and I can combine my hobbies by 3D printing cases for
Nice.
But I do have one more thing that I created for it. And I didn't create this entirely, and I don't have it taken apart right now, but this is a Wi-Fi modem for it. So this plugs into the user port, which is on the left side of the machine as you're using it. And this has, ironically, a much more powerful computer inside of it than the Commodore 64 in order to handle Wi-Fi. But you can
on the tiniest
this is way more powerful than this whole thing. I've used this to connect to bulletin board systems that are still running.
Wow.
People are still running bulletin board or BBSs on actual Commodore 64 hardware.
That's amazing.
Today. It's crazy.
Yeah. What are they even talking about on there?
Just random stuff. You can't post any pictures unless you do ASCII art, or I guess in this scene it's called PETSCII art. But yeah, it's just random stuff. Just just random. Yeah, we're here. Hi, And some people talk about, like if they're writing games for the C64, they'll ask some questions about it, but mostly people are on the forums or Reddit or something instead.
What do you do with it? Like, where does it live in your house, or is it somewhere else, or?
So I mostly just play games on it because they're fun, and I do keep it at my office though. We have a tiny computer history museum. We have a few different old computers, and we have a Raspberry Pi with a bunch of old DOS games on it. This has a pretty prominent spot. Really like showing the next generation of software developers, because I'm a software developer by trade, and I like showing them, here's where we came from, and here's what we used when I was a kid. And I show them how to do some basic commands and stuff like that, and then they go back to their modern programming languages and feel a lot better about the stuff they have to put up with.
Yeah. Like, it's not quite as bad as it could be.
Yeah.
Does it turn on? Do you mind showing?
Yeah,
us
sure.
Turning it on.
So it's going to look a little weird just because of the way cameras work with the shutter speeds and stuff. But
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, so this is what confounded me as a child. All you see is just ready and then a flashing cursor.
And there's no mouse.
There's no mouse. There was a mouse for it,
Okay.
but you had to have, there was like a Windows-like operating system for it, but it took probably like 20 minutes to load it.
Wow.
So it's like, what's even the point?
Even bothers.
But yeah, that's why this manual is so extensive, because how do you just turn it on? It doesn't tell you how to use itself, so you actually had to read the entire manual to know how to use any of it. So
That's amazing. Very cool.
yeah.
Have you ever looked up like what it's worth, or especially like you have the Commodore 64, but you have this monitor, you have like these manuals.
Yes, I also have the box for this.
The original box.
The original box, but I
Nice.
didn't want to damage it bringing
Yeah.
it over here just because it's kind of fragile now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I have looked these up. Do you want me to?
I would like to hear kind of like what you think it's worth. Yeah, right.
Okay. So what I found, just a quick search on eBay, it seems like for a working Commodore 64, they're between $200 to $300.
Okay.
For something with a box and with manuals, maybe it could be a bit more. A lot of times it really depends on how reputable the person is that's selling it, because they could tell you it works, and then you get it home and it doesn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, about $200 to $300. And then the monitor itself, I believe that's like 150 to 200 bucks, something like that.
So less than the.
Less than this, but the big problem is shipping, because these monitors are heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's best, if you're going to buy one of these, you want to buy it local.
Okay.
But one of the cool things about these is that they were designed to hook up to a TV. So you can hook this up to, most TVs, even nowadays, still have a composite video port on the back, which is the yellow RCA
Yeah.
jack. And this will plug right into it if you have the right cable.
Okay. Okay. Cool. That's awesome. So you don't have to get this.
You don't have to
specific
get
monitor.
this, but it's so nice. if you
Yeah,
do.
it is, and
Yeah.
it matches like the color. And
Exactly,
everything.
yeah.
It's very nice. I think I'm ready to give my valuation. We heard a little bit about what Jacob thinks it's worth, and I'm ready to tell you what I think it's worth. And I would say that with, the monitor, and you have the actual Commodore 64, the manuals, everything that you have here, including some things that you have at home, like the box, the original box. You don't have a mouse, right? Or anything
No,
like
I don't
that?
have the mouse.
But I would say, if we had the mouse, I think that would add probably a little bit more value to the whole setup. But I would say this is worth about like 15K to 20K.
Okay.
And I would get it insured for that amount as
Okay.
well. And then, if you had the mouse, I think I would have put it up to about 25K. So
All right.
it's a really nice group of stuff you have there. I'm really
Well,
glad
thank
you shared it with us and showed us all your toys.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Jacob. Bye.
Yeah, bye.